Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Link Frequency and I'm Aishwarya Pattar. This video majorly focuses on the example programs of C for our course that is C Programming for Absolute Beginners 2022. So without any further delay, let's get started. Well, I hope my screen is visible now. For this particular video, I have specially taken an example which is related to application. So let's see what is the question. Let me read it out for you guys. So it goes like, write a program to calculate overtime pay of 5 employees in a company. Overtime is paid at a rate of Rs 100 per hour for every additional hour worked above 40 hours. Kindly calculate the amount to be paid to the employees using a C program. Assume that employees do not work for a fraction part of an hour. So just to give you a brief explanation about this is, there are 5 employees in a company and we are supposed to calculate how many hours they have overworked and we are supposed to give 100 rupees per every hour they have worked. And to make it very simpler for our calculation, they have already mentioned that we are not going to assume that they have worked for a fraction of hours. We are going to take it as a complete integer. So I hope now the question is pretty clear. Let's go ahead to understand the code part of it. As per the basic C structure, we have 6 sections, that is documentation, link, definition, global declaration, main function and subprograms. I have made sure all these sections are covered in our today's example program as well. Just to give you a brief about it, I will show you the sections here. The first one is documentation, then there is a link. In this particular program, I have not used any macros, so the definition part or the definition section is not there. I have used a sub-program, that is a sub-function in this particular example. So I have given a declaration, that is a declaration section is mentioned here. And then there is a main function. And towards the end, I have a sub-function, that is int calculate. So these are the basic structures that we are supposed to follow in C programming. Now let us go ahead and understand the code. As per the basic standard, I have written the hash include stdio.h linking file, and then I have the main function. Inside main, I have used r, pay and I as type integer data type. And since I'm supposed to calculate the overtime pay for 5 employees, here I'm trying to use a for loop. I hope you remember the syntax of for loop. If not, let me remind you again. So the syntax goes something like, for inside a bracket, we have initialization expression, then comes the test expression, and then lastly we have the update expression. All of these 3 are separated by a semicolon. So I am supposed to take the input for 5 different employees. So for that I have used this for loop. So for inside the for loop, I'm starting with initialization, that is I equal to 1. And I is less than or equal to 5 because I am supposed to calculate for 5 employees and the value of I gets updated. So inside this for loop, I have the printf and scanf statement to consider the number of hours, that is the total number of hours the employee is going to work. After getting the number of hours, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass on that value of number of hours to our sub function, that is calculate, and it will compute all the calculations. And once the calculation is done, it will return back the value pay to our main. And inside main, our next printf statement will execute whatever value was calculated. And this particular %d will give us the employee ID, for which employee ID how much additional pay has to be given if he has worked overtime. Well, alright, this loop goes on till I is equal to 5, and once I exceeds the value, then it comes out of the loop. And once the loop is terminated, we have a final printf statement which indicates the calculation is complete. Now let me move ahead for the sub function. What does our sub function have? So once we pass on the value, that is number of hours, to our function calculate, it comes here to calculate. Inside that we have int pay equal to 0 assigned. And what happens is, as per our question, if you remember, if a person has worked above 40 hours, then only we are going to calculate the overtime. So the same condition is mentioned here. If our hours entered from the user is above 40, then it enters this loop. Then what it does is it calculates how much is the difference. For example, if I have given 45, So 45 minus 40 will be 5 hours, that is 5 additional hours into 100. We have taken 100 because the example program or the statement of the program already states that we are supposed to give 100 rupees additionally for every hour. So here it would be 5 into 100, so it will be 500 additional amount to be paid. So once the amount is fetched, it returns back to main, and finally using this printf statement it will be indicated. So this is a very simple application based program which will help you resolve a simple application. So let me run this code so that we will have a better understanding. Well, alright, it is asking for enter the total hours worked by the employee. So let me consider the first person has worked for 45 hours. So you can see overtime pay of employee ID 1. So the first employee has worked for 5 hours because 45 minus 40 is 5. So 5 into 100 will give us 500. So I'm supposed to give 500 rupees extra to employee 1. Let me consider for employee 2. Let me say he has worked for 42. So he will get additionally 200 rupees extra. What if the person has exactly worked 40? So he will not get any overtime pay. So whatever was the basic pay he is supposed to get, he'll get the same thing. Let me consider for employee number 4, he has worked for 50 hours. So here we will be getting 1000 rupees additionally. And the last person, consider if he has worked for 47 hours. So he'll be getting additionally 700 rupees. So once all these 5 peoples are calculated, then we have the final printf statement indicating the calculation is completed. So this is a very basic C example wherein we can try to solve a problem using C programming. See, we can also do the calculation using a normal calculator as well. But if you see at this C programming, just by giving the total number of hours worked by the employee, it will directly give you the value that you are supposed to pay to the employee. So this is a very basic and a simple example where you can see the advantage of using our C. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you could enjoy the video content. Consider subscribing to our channel Link Frequency, and also don't forget to share our videos across all your connections. Until we meet on our next video, happy learning. Tune yourself to make a difference.